everyone, it's Catherine here from Inkyfingeredcat, back with another Christmas in July. Today's theme is Frosty the Snowman, and I grabbed this layering stencil that I got last year from Pretty Pink Posh. I think I've only used it once before and I didn't have a great success with it. I have success with it this time, however, I do make a bit of a boo-boo. So I was going to make 2 cards and ended up only making 1. But I covered up the boo-boo and it's all fine, and I will explain what I do. I find it a bit odd, this one, because the vast majority of the inking that you do is the snowmen's bodies, and really they're white. So it's a little bit odd, really. I'm not in love with this layering stencil in terms of the way that it works, but I love the finished effect at the end. I think it's quite cute. But yeah, I'm a bit baffled as to how you're meant to really use it, and I perhaps need to go and watch somebody else's video. I don't know. But how I used it was I did not ink up the blended brushes that I used, and I used one that had been black on it, and also one that got blue on it, and that sort of gave it a bluey grey, very light inking on the snowmen's bodies. And then the other thing that I find odd is that this one, unless you went with orange hats and scarves, you need to use the tiny blending brushes. And also the little gaps for the noses, for the oranges, for the orange carrots, that's the word I'm trying to find, carrots, the gaps are tiny. So yeah, it's a bit odd. But anyway, chose 3 different colours of my distress inks: Candied Apple, Seedless Preserves and Evergreen Bough for the hats and scarves. And then I went in with a little orange pen in order to add in the little carrot noses for my snowmen. Probably should have done this bit first because I get ink on my fingers, and that's when the boo-boo will happen at some point soon, because I've now got ink on my fingers and I didn't realise I was having ink on my fingers. Right, the next thing is that the branches for the arms and the coal for his buttons and eyes and his mouth, etc., are also the same stencil, and they're tiny things, so I just use my pen for all of the coal bits, literally just dotting in using an India ink pen in the hope that it won't bleed or it won't smudge. And then I use black soot and my brush in order to do the little branches. Probably should have gone for a brownie black, but you know, I ended up with black soot, so that's what I got. So they end up being sort of like grey black branches, but aren't they cute? So even though it's a bit fiddly, I think it's really cute. So at this point, I put it to one side and I'm umming and ahhing through my stash what else to do. And I decide, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to chop it in half, but in a weird way. And this is the point where I get a smudge. You can see on that right hand one has now got a smudge of the red ink because I've got red on my hands. Yeah. So originally I was going to make 2 cards from this, as I say, but as I've spotted that this one's a bit smudged, I and ah, and it does end up going on the inside of the card, and I end up rescuing it by putting some sentiments over the top, and it's all fine. But I cut a frame using, a mat for it, using the black mirror card. Should have really thought about gutting that because I love that black mirror card so much. It's not called mirror card, it's foiled cardstock from Kingston Crafts. I love it so much, I wanted to hoard it. And I didn't end up thinking about gutting it until I'm now watching the video and thinking, no, could have die cut some bits out of it or whatever, but never mind. So I decided I wanted to put quite a big sentiment. So I went and grabbed the sentiment I used a couple of videos ago, the Clarity Stamps one. I think they're word art stamps or something. They come in a big long strip of a few different words. I think it says Peace on Earth. And I just stamped that, just kept it dead simple. You'll be very proud of me. This is a very simple card, really. I just kept it really simple and stamped it in black. And then I added my panel on the front. And then I added the panel to the back. Now, this is the point where I'm umming and ahhing about whether I can die cut something from this to cover the splodges. And I decided instead to go for these foiled sentiments, already foiled, already die cut. And I choose 3 just to go down the inside. There's still plenty of room to write a message on either the left-hand side of the card or you know, the back of the front of the card, if you know what I mean. I just go for 3 messages all the way down. Almost wish I'd left it like that, but instead I ended up adding 5 sequins in the sort of purpley black, which goes with that seedless preserve and the grey theme. But I did just add some bling to the front. I sort of think it didn't need it, but I did it regardless. So there you go, simple card, a stenciled panel. Think about doing something a bit different with your stencil panels, cut them at an angle. That's what I did, and I think it looks really cute. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please do give me a thumbs up if you did, and leave me a comment below, and especially if you know how to use the stencil in a better way. Please subscribe to see more, but until next time, bye bye.